Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is now in session. First case that we have is cause number 331626. The case is styled the state of Texas versus Donnell LaTroy Rubin. Mr. Rubin, is that your full name?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Rubin, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Rubin, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
I do.
Mr. Rubin, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Rubin?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Rubin, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information alleges that on or about January 4th of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of criminal mischief. Mr. Rubin, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Rubin, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, you pleaded no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rubin, I have before me another document. This document is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. On page 2 of this document, Mr. Rubin, there's a set of initials, DR, on a line that's next to a box that's checked nolo contendere, which means no contest. Mr. Rubin, did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 3 of the same document, Mr. Rubin, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Mr. Rubin, did you sign this document?
Yes, sir.
On the next document, Mr. Rubin, this document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. At the bottom of this document, Mr. Rubin, there's also a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Did you also sign this document?
Yes, sir.
At the top of this document, Mr. Rubin, there's one box that's checked. The box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Rubin, I also have before me a document on paper that is titled Discovery Certification. At the bottom of this document, above the line that is titled Defendant, there's a signature. Mr. Rubin, did you also sign this document?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Rubin, before you signed and initialed these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Adams, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that he went over?
Yes, sir.
And is everything that he went over true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rubin, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me states exhibits number 1 and state, would you like to offer states exhibit number 1?
Yes, Your Honor. State offers states 1.
Would you like to also offer states number 2?
Yes, Your Honor. State offers states number 2 as well.
Okay, any objections, Mr. Adams?
No objections.
No objections, states exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Adams, you advised in counsel, Mr. Rubin, is there any evidence that he's currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
None.
Mr. Rubin, your attorney, Mr. Adams, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rubin, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
In exchange for the defendant's plea of guilty in this case, the state's recommending confinement in the Jefferson County Jail for a period of 45 days.
Okay. Do we have a affidavit in just now? Okay. Okay. Mr. Rubin.
Yes,
The
sir.
state is offering that you serve 45 days in the Jefferson County Jail on this case. You will be given credit for any time that you are entitled to get by law. The court cost in this case is $327. Mr. Rubin, will you be able to pay the $327?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Rubin, I have before me an affidavit of indigence that has been filed on your behalf. Is signed by Judge Rob Posh. This affidavit of indigence was signed on April the 13th of 2022. In this affidavit, it states, I guess at that time, that you were making about, your income was 300 a week. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you still have the same income, or do you not have that income?
Oh, currently, I'm unemployed.
You're unemployed, so you have zero income.
Yes, sir.
All right. And apparently, they didn't have any information on here on expenses. Did you have any source of income? Any source of income?
I mean, I was working before I was incarcerated.
No. I'm saying not in the past. I'm saying currently. Do you have any source of income?
No, sir.
Okay. So based on, I think Judge Pass said that you had insufficient income. The court is going to find that you're indigent based on affidavits in your statement. And therefore, the court cost of $327 in this case is going to be waived pursuant to Article 42.15 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. So, Mr. Rubin, what that basically means is you will not have to pay the court cost of $327. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Rubin, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Rubin, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Rubin, this will conclude your case. You can follow the bailiff and just knock on the door. You can follow bailiff. This will conclude your case, and you have a blessed day.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Che Bonin? Che Bonin?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bonin, okay, this is cause number 331796. The case is styled the state of Texas versus Che O'Neill Bonin. Mr. Bonin, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bonin, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Bonin, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Bonin, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Bonin?
As well as can be considering the situation.
Okay, understandable. Now, Mr. Bonin, you're represented in this case by your attorney, Attorney Langston Adams. And Mr. Adams, how are
I'm
you
here.
doing?
Doing good, Judge.
All right. State is represented by, is it Tommy Coleman or is it Blake Ham? Okay. How you doing, Mr. Coleman, and how you doing, Mr. Ham?
Good, Your Honor.
Good, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Now, Mr. Bonin, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information, which was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office, alleges that on or about March 21st of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of assault, family violence. Mr. Bonin, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Bonin, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Bonin, are you pleading no contest freely and
Yes, sir.
voluntarily? And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, Mr. Bonham, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanors Plea Admonishment. This document on page 2, there are a set of initials on a line that's next to a box that's checked nola contendere, which means no contest. Mr. Bonner, did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
And on the next page of the same document, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Mr. Bonner, did you sign this document?
Yes, sir.
On the next document, Mr. Bonner, that is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Mr. Bonner, did you sign this document?
Yes, sir.
And at the top of this document, Mr. Bonner, there's one box that's checked. The box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
I also have before me a document on paper that is titled Discovery Certification. At the bottom of this document, Mr. Bonham, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Mr. Bonham, did you sign this document?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Bonham, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bonham, well, state, I have before me, well, let me back up. Mr. Bonham, before you signed and initialed these documents, did your attorney, Mr. Adams, go over these documents with you?
Yes, he did.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
I did.
And is
Yes, sir.
everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Now state, I have before me state's exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer states 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections, Mr. Adams?
No objection.
Now, Mr. Adams, well, and Mr. Ham, do you also like to offer state's exhibit number 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections, Mr. Adams?
None. No objection.
Okay, no objections, states 1 and 2 are admitted. Now, Mr. Adams, I forgot to ask, do you waive a record in this case?
Yes.
And you also waived the record in the previous case?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Adams, you advised and counseled Mr. Bonham. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
None.
Mr. Bonham, your attorney, Mr. Adams, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, I am.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes.
Mr. Bonham, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. Do I have a waiver? That's not a bachelor warning. I also find that I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you're mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. They don't have not even a magistrate warning in there at all. Okay, state, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, the agreement is for 90 days in jail probated over a term of 1 year, 30 hours of community service,
30, okay.
and no fine. And Mr. Bonin is to report to Spindletop for an assessment and follow Spindletop's recommendations for treatment.
Okay. Mr. Bonham, The state is offering that you serve 90 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail because you will be on probation for 1 year. During this 1 year probationary period, you will not be required to pay a fine because the state is waiving the fine. However, you will be required to pay court costs in the amount of $342. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay while you're on probation each month, is $110. Mr. Bonin, will you be able to pay the $110?
Once I go back to work, yes, sir.
Okay, so my question is, you say once you go back to work, are you going back to work today or soon?
Well,
When you
whenever
out?
it's kind of a special situation. My mom her health took a turn for the worse, and she's in the hospital. And it'll probably be next week. I try and go see if I'll get my old job. If not, I'll get another job next week at some point in time after I report to supervision, I guess.
Okay, so currently you're unemployed. Is that
Yes,
what you're saying?
yes,
And
sir.
so currently you do not have a source of income, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you have no other forms of income, is that correct?
No, sir.
No, my question is that correct that you do not have any other forms of income? Is that right?
Yes. I don't have any
Now,
other forms of income.
okay, now, as it relates to your expenses, I know you mentioned something about your mother. Do you have, okay, do you live with relatives, or you have your own home, or do you rent an apartment?
I rent the downstairs from my grandmother. I'm staying with family.
Okay, so it's family members?
And then
And
I
no other-
have 2 little children that live with me too.
Are they your children?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, now you said you're renting from a relative. Now are you required to pay utility bills as well, or is that part of?
It's all part.
Okay. And I would imagine that you have food expenses.
Yes,
Now the food expenses, not that just the food expenses are for you as well as your children. Is that
Yes.
correct? And if you had to estimate, how much do you think that costs you a month?
probably about 400. And then I pay child support for my other 2 children too. But
How much you pay on that a month?
well, it's kind of up and down because I was paying $1,100 a month, but it dropped down because my daughter's mom. was
Okay,
actually
what did it drop down to?
800.
8? All right. So now your rent that you pay a month, how much is that?
It's $400 a month.
Oh, wow, okay. Your rent is 400, your food is 400, your, you got childcare expenses, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you have any form of transportation? You have to pay transportation costs?
I have a vehicle. I have a
You
car.
own,
Yes.
okay, do you have a car note on it?
No, it's paid off.
Okay, you have to pay, do you have to, what
Insurance,
is, yeah, what's your insurance a month?
it's like $60 a month.
Okay, now what about, your gas? How much you think you spend in a month? You will have, yeah.
Maybe 100 a month at most.
Okay, so
It's
that's
pretty
one.
gas efficient.
Okay, so based upon the information that you provided me so far, you have no income, but however, you do have monthly expenses. The court is going to find that you are indigent at this time. And let's see, hold on a minute. Let's see, 342. Your court costs is going to be converted to community service. It's going to be converted to 27 hours of community service. And the probation fee of $60 each month is going to be reduced to the minimum $25 each month.
Thank you,
And
Your Honor.
you are now let me go over this with you again. Okay, so the state is offering that you serve 90 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail because you'll be placed on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you will not be required to pay a fine because it will be waived. However, you will be required to pay, well, you are assessed court costs in the amount of $342. However, the court cost is going to be converted to 27 hours of community service. Now, the probation fee of $60 is going to be reduced to $25. And you still be required to pay your analysis fee. And then so your monthly installments is going to be recalculated. And actually it's going to be recalculated by the probation department. It'll be substantially lower than the $110 per month. Now, you will also be required to perform 30 hours of community service in addition to the 27 hours that was converted from the court cost. So you'll be looking at a total of 57 hours of community service. You will also be required to pay a fine of $100 to a family violence center in Jefferson County. As I stated earlier, the fine portion, which was $0, the state has waived that, but you'll still be required to pay a fine to the family violence center in Jefferson County, to a family violence center in Jefferson County. You will also obtain an assessment at Spindletop and follow the Spindletop's recommended treatment plan as a condition of your probation. And you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of this probation. Mr. Bonin, do you understand the state's offer and the adjustments that have been made by the court?
Yes, sir, and I appreciate you.
Okay, now, Mr. Bonin, do you think that the state's offer and the court's adjustments is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept it?
Yes, but
Okay.
I do have a request though, if possible.
What, let me do this here. Before you say anything, you might want to talk to your attorney.
I already know what it is. You don't need to talk to.
Oh, okay.
I know what it is. So his request. I'll tell you what his request is. The request is that he wants you to let him be able to see his mama since his mama is sick. I think his mom is dying from what he told me.
What you mean? Let us.
I wanted to make a
All right.
meeting, Your Honor, and
Okay, hold on a minute. I don't see anything in here. Is there no contact with his mother?
There's a protective order.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, that's up. You got to go to the. I don't have jurisdiction over that. You got to. He has to go. You know. I mean, you could advise him as to what he can do. You, his attorney, but I don't have jurisdiction over that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So he's telling you that there's nothing that the judge can do today to help you with that question, that issue.
And Your Honor, I can represent that I spoke with his mother yesterday, and she seems to be doing much better.
Okay. Okay. Now, Mr. Let's do this here. And I asked you. Well, the court made the finding that the court will accept your plea of no contest. Court finds that your mentally competent to stand trial. The court also finds that your plea and waiver is free and voluntarily given. The court also found that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And Mr. Bonner stated that he understood the state's offer. Is that correct?
yes, sir.
And you think it's fair and just? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the court is going to follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Now, Mr. Bonner,
Yes.
I have before me a model written admonition on ineligibility to possess firearm or ammunition. And in accordance with the Texas Administrative Code, section 176.1, the court hereby admonish you of the following. Number one, you are by entry of order or judgment ineligible under Texas law to possess a firearm or ammunition. Two, beginning now, if you possess a firearm or ammunition, it could lead to charges against you. If you have questions about how long you will be ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, you should consult an attorney. Number three, under Texas Penal Code section 46.013, A, firearm means any device designed, made, or adapted to expel a projectile through a barrel by using the energy generated by an explosion or burning substance, or any device readily convertible to that use. B, firearm does not include a firearm that may have as an integral part a folding knife blade or other characteristics of weapons made illegal by Penal Code Chapter 46, and that is one, an antique curio or a firearm manufactured before 1899, or two, a replica of an antique or curio firearm manufactured before 1899, but only if the replica does not use rimfire or centerfire ammunition. The statutes listed below are a starting point for ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition. For more information about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or for more information on how long your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition lasts, the court recommends you contact an attorney. Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 17.292, Magistrate's Order for Emergency Protection. Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 42.0131, Notice for persons convicted of misdemeanors involving family violence. Penal Code Section 46.02, Unlawful carrying weapons. Penal Code Section 46.04, Unlawful possession of firearm. Penal Code Section 25.07, violation of certain court orders or conditions of bond in a family violence, child abuse or neglect, sexual assault or abuse, indecent assault, stalking, or trafficking case. Family Code Section 85.026, warning on protective orders. Now, Mr. Bonnet, you should be able to get a copy of this ammunition at the jail. This will conclude your case. You are free to go, and you have a blessed day. And as stated earlier, the waivers that the court made in reference to your court costs and is pursuant to Article 42.15 Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. At this time, Mr. Bonnet, you can follow the bailiff, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Uh-oh. Hey,
Hello.
I might have, could you check and see if Bonham was still, oh, okay, there it is. Want to make sure it was saved. Uh-oh, something's wrong with my tablet. Hold on a minute. We are having some experience with some problems with the tablets.
Okay. They said they're having some.
Is this Veronica Trevino?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The court is in session in cause number 331860. And the case is styled the state of Texas versus Veronica Renee Trevino. Ms. Trevino, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Trevino, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Trevino, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Trevino, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Ms. Trevino?
I'm doing.
You doing? Okay. Now, Ms. Trevino, I have before me a document that is titled information. This information alleges that on or about February 8th of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass. Ms. Trevino, did you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to discharge Ms. Trevino, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, Ms. Trevino, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Admonishments. It is also misdemeanor, it's titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. On page 2 of this document, Ms. Trevino, there's a signature on a line next to a box that's checked nolo contendere, which means no contest. Ms. Trevino, did you sign this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 3 of the same document, there's another signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Did you also sign this page of this document?
Yes, sir.
I have another document before me that is titled this trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal. Ms. Trevino, at the bottom of this document, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Ms. Trevino, did you also sign this document?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Trevino, before you signed and initialed these documents, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that he went over?
Yes, sir.
And is everything that he went over true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir, it is.
Ms. Trevino, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1 and State's Exhibit Number 2?
Yes, Your Honor. State offers both States number 1 and States number 2.
Any objection, Mr. Adams?
No objection, Judge.
And Mr. Adams, well, State's Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Adams, you waive a record in this case as well?
Record waive.
And Mr. Adams, you've advised and counseled Ms. Trevino. Is there any evidence that she's currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No evidence.
Ms. Trevino, your attorney, Mr. Adams, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Trevino, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
In exchange for the defendant's plea of guilty in this case, the state's recommending confinement in the Jefferson County Jail for a period of 14 days. However, we're asking that the court give the defendant credit for 14 days that she's already served in custody, essentially making this a time served offer. Additionally, we're asking that the court tax and retire any court costs based upon the time that she's also served.
Okay. Ms. Trevino, the state is offering that you serve 14 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you would not have to serve any more time in the Jefferson County Jail in this case because you have already served 14 days in the Jefferson County Jail in this case.
Yes, sir.
Therefore, you will be given credit for time served. Now, the court cost in this case is $327, but you will not have to pay the $327 because the time that you have spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court costs will be taxed and retired. Ms.
Yes, sir.
Trevino, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir, I do.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, just for the record, Ms. Trevino, I have before me discovery certification. It has your signature on it. Did your attorney go over this document with you?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on this document?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you understood everything in this document prior to signing it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, Ms. Trevino, as stated earlier, the court is going to, the court has accepted your plea of no contest. The court has found that you're mentally competent to stand trial. The court has also found that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. The court has also found that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And the court has found that you understand the state's offer, that you accepted the state's offer, and you think that it's fair and just, and the court will follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. This will conclude your case. You're free to go. You can follow the bailiff, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, you too, sir.
You're welcome. The court is in session in cause number 331924. And this case is styled the state of Texas versus LaTorre Marcel McAllister. Mr. McAllister, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. McAllister, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. McAllister, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. McAllister, you may put your hand down. Mr. McAllister, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Mr. McAllister, you are here represented. Oh, I'm doing fine. And Mr. McAllister, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Langston Adams. And Mr. Adams, do you waive a record in Mr. McAllister's case?
Yes, I do.
Mr. McAllister, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information alleges that on or about March 1st of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of theft. Mr. McAllister, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Not exactly, but
Hold on, Mr. McAllister. Let me do this here.